We are talking about the deceitfulness of riches. Money is lying to you. Jesus was telling a story, a parable, and he said a sower went out to plant some seeds, to sow some seeds, as farmers do. And the plants started growing, Jesus says, but the deceitfulness of riches choked out the growth. That was the metaphor. And he was saying the deceitfulness and the lies of the riches of this world can choke out our growth. The lies that money tells you can result in a squashed, choked, reduced kind of life. Money lies to us and says that it can satisfy us. Money lies to us and says to us that it can bring us peace. Today we're going to wrestle with those lies and we get a better understanding of how often we subconsciously buy into them and how God wants to free us from the traps that they set. How many of you remember these? Can we have a look at the tickets? Have I missed something there? There we go. How many of you remember those? Time zone tickets. Come on. I remember as a kid, man, I go to these things and it's different now for those time zones that are now. You get the tickets, but they come on a little swipey card. Have you seen that? Dodgy, man. Tickets were great. Tickets were great. You'd get all these tickets, and because I was super good at the games, sort of, you'd get all these tickets and you'd wander up to the counter with all your tickets. And I had my eye on a Walkman. That shows you how old I was. A Walkman. You know what a Walkman is, right? Okay, good. For the young people, it's like an iPod. You can't even say that anymore. Like a phone that doesn't make phone calls but plays music on cassette tapes. Anyway, righto. I had my eye on a Walkman and I had this huge pile of tickets. And you know what I got? A Frisbee. That's a nice Frisbee. But I had this huge pile of tickets. I just got a Frisbee. Anyone had that kind of experience at Time Zone? Yeah, okay, good. There's a few. I was so excited. When you grow into an adult, the tickets look like this. Next picture. That's what the tickets look like. Isn't it? We think to ourselves, if we get enough of these, we're going to be happy. If we get enough of these, we're going to be satisfied. If we get enough of these, we're going to have significance. If we get enough of these, we'll feel secure. If we get enough, we'll be able to finally rest and relax in peace. The problem is, as our text last week and this week point out, these are lies. They promise far more, these tickets, they promise far more than they deliver. Jesus taught so much about money because, like those tickets, money is a ticket to many of our own desires, isn't it? You can use money to get power. You can use money to get influence. You can use money to get popularity. You can use money to accumulate possessions. You can even use money to buy friends and intimacy. Although whether or not it's true intimacy is debatable. And because of all these things, Jesus knew that money would be the number one competitor for our hearts. In most marriage divorces, the primary reason stated for a divorce is around finances. It is around money. But see, that's not necessarily true because money represents so many other things. Money is the gateway to so many other things. It's usually many of those other issues that are not discussed and communicated about. But money becomes that thing that you can easily see, a ticket you can easily hold up and say, that's the reason. The reality is, even though there is nothing wrong with wealth, popularity, power, influence, and intimacy, they don't truly bring contentment. They don't truly bring happiness. They don't bring a wholehearted life, which is what Jesus was all about. Most of us, though, I reckon most of us would say, well, I don't have a problem with money. Well, How about this? Have you ever bought something you didn't need with money you didn't have to impress people you didn't like? I'm not even going to ask for hands, but the nervous chuckle gives it away. There is a power to this money thing, isn't there? Have you ever compromised on your integrity on an expense report? Or have you downloaded games, music, or movies that you didn't pay for? Have you ever told your 16-year-old that he's now 11 because it's cheaper at Disney World for under 12s? Yeah, sure, he shaves, but he's 11. We serve money, and we can very quickly fall into the illusion that having more will bring more meaning. Have you ever compromised on your family? Neglected them, perhaps working super hard, believing that you were providing more for them? That's what they need, isn't it? Money more than anything else, maybe? Probably not. This is all the false god of money. These are all the false things that they promise, that money promises, that only God can truly provide. And since we are rich, we want to be good at being rich. So our key verse, Paul is talking to Timothy, coaching him as a young pastor, and he says, when you deal with rich people, here's what you want to do to help them. So this is what he says in verse 17, command those who are rich, that's us, command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant. And we looked at how that's good news and bad news last week. But here's the verse today. Nor to put their hope in wealth, which is so uncertain, but instead, where should we put our hope? We should put our hope in God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. The problem is, money screams at us, doesn't it? If you have more of me, you'll be happy. If you have more of me, you'll feel significant. Lie number one. Money will bring us satisfaction. Have you read, hands up if you have read the novel Catch-22? Oh, come on, really? All right, for all of you who are over the age of 18, this is the challenge for this week. Get and read that book. It is fantastically bizarre and absurd. Love it. One of the greatest novels of the 20th century, written by a guy named Joseph Heller. Joseph Heller was good mates with another writer, another poet by the name of Kurt Vonnegut. Has anyone heard of Kurt Vonnegut? No? Great, cool, doesn't matter. Oh, Phil has. Excellent, it's the Phil thing. Kurt Vonnegut is a poet, and he wrote a poem in about 2005 about a time where he and Joseph Heller, two mates, went to a billionaire's party on an island in New York or somewhere, I think. And Kurt Vonnegut says to his friend Joseph Heller something along the lines of, do you realise that our host made more money yesterday than you have made from sales of Catch-22 over your entire life? That's a nice thing for a mate to say, isn't it? But here's the genius of Joseph Heller. Joseph Heller responded, yes, but I have something he will never have. Enough. I have something he will never have. Enough. Solomon says this in Ecclesiastes 5. Amanda read it for us before. Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. I toyed with the idea of turning to other faiths in the preparation of this sermon, because Solomon's words are not unique. Solomon's concepts are not strange. You can turn to Hindu gurus, you can turn to the Buddha, you can turn to Confucius. They all have the same message. Whoever loves money will never have enough. So if I asked you today, are you satisfied with your income? It's an interesting question, isn't it? Are you satisfied with what you have? Well, maybe you would answer, no, I want more. Well, I'd be careful with that. We are always wanting more, I can promise you. It doesn't matter how big your stack gets. It doesn't matter how much stuff you have stocked in the garage. You'll always want more if that's what you prioritize. How big does your income have to get to feel secure? Last week we went through that the study done by a polling company in America. I can't remember the name now. And they interviewed people and they said, how much would you have to feel like you were rich? And usually the $40,000, the people who earned $40,000 said, I'd need to have about $80,000. People who earned $80,000 said, I'd need to have about $100,000 to $110,000. People who earn more than that were like, oh no, I need to have about $5 million, whatever. You never have enough, no matter who you ask. That's it. People who love and trust money, number one, the lie is they'll have enough. Because the truth is, they will never have enough. Number two, if you love money, lie number two. The lie is money will bring you peace. But if you love money, you have money in the bank, you could have money in the bank if you love money, but you'll have no peace in your heart. And yes, you might say to me, I don't have a lot of money in the bank. In fact, I've got a negative amount in the bank. I have a mortgage. Well, you know what I'm saying, though. You have gear in the garage, you've got clothes in the closet, your food in the fridge, you're blessed. And if you love that, if you love all that stuff, you'll have no peace in your heart. Solomon again, this time in Proverbs 15:16, he says, better a little with the fear of the Lord than great wealth with turmoil. Now, interesting here, better a little with the fear of the Lord than great wealth with turmoil. Not in turmoil, with turmoil. In other words, with great wealth comes turmoil. Better a little than that with turmoil. Better a little bit of God, a little bit with a lot of God, than a lot of junk with no God and a lot of tension. Better a little with the fear of the Lord. It's just better. Most people don't believe me. Most people don't believe Solomon. They say, hey, well, tell you what, how about you give me $1 million and we'll just do an experiment. We'll see how it goes. Let me tell you, cash doesn't solve problems. With cash comes turmoil. Command those who are rich, says Paul to Timothy, command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant nor to put their hope in wealth, which is so uncertain. Which is so uncertain. That's right, isn't it? Wealth is uncertain. Despite the monumental economic and financial systems that we have built for our society, the very highly stable and secure ones, at least we believe so. Property prices are currently falling. Stock markets go up and down like a yo-yo. Even super funds that are supposed to be super low risk go up and down. Inflation is growing. Interest rates are growing. The price of lettuce is increasing. We live in a world that is changing and uncertain. And what does that give us? Anybody? Anxiety? Sleeplessness? I have friends out there who've been saving all their lives in their super funds, and it's just not a good time to retire right now. And they're having to make life's choices along those lines. It's never certain. It is anxiety-inducing. More spiritual focus is what we need. Life with God brings intimacy, it brings healing, it brings focus, it brings power, it brings purpose. It brings the ability to deal with the uncertainty. This gives us the wisdom and the strength to deal with the way the world God leads us to. So, but instead put their hope in God, who richly provides us with everything we need for our enjoyment. Command them to do good, to be rich in good deeds, which is where we'll look at next time, I think. Rich in good deeds. to be generous and willing to share. And then that's when they will take hold of life that is truly life, as opposed to just existing. God has blessed us with more than we need. We are rich. But therefore, we must remember not to trust in our riches, but in him who richly provides. We're going to take a time to respond, and we're going to sing a song, Christ is Enough. And if you remember nothing else, remember Christ is enough. Christ first, then money second, third, fourth. Christ first, marriage second, relationships with kids and parents for third or whatever. Put money down the list of things that you trust and rely on for your future. Let's sing together. The place of prayer is open. Perhaps you are really stressed about your future and about money, and perhaps this is a time where you might like to come and to pray, to ask God for guidance, for future, for peace over the present. The place of prayer is open. If you'd like to do that, I invite you to come and pray. Let's sing.